possibly the biggest newspaper in the whole world. And this is what everyone who's in the center of Washington, D.C., the policymakers in the center of the world, it's what they're reading. So this is the paper to get in if you want to influence the people in the world. So we were featured in a big article, a breakout article, which is going to send shockwaves throughout the world, because it says actually...
Sam and Kit Bowen Russell, who really took skincare into their own hands.
Twin brothers from the UK who are taking the skincare industry by storm.
Sam is a nuclear astrophysicist, and Kit is a geophysicist and author.
A Notre Dame grad and his twin brother are looking to revolutionize skin health.
The two launched a 2-year intensive research study.
Two very smart guys who knew all about bad skin at a very early age.
That woman at the end was our mum, and really she's the face which launched 1,000 questions for us.
Right, Kit, we've got the end of year in numbers, so you take it away.
End of year in numbers. Okay, so this is, I think everyone does this on things like Spotify, don't they, where they have they rank their year in numbers and they say, right, I've listened to Morgan Wallen's album 800 million times, which I probably have, to be honest. So we're going to do a similar thing. So firstly, Sam, this isn't a number, but the first big headline of the year was that we were featured in the Washington Post, which is possibly the biggest newspaper in the whole world. I could have exaggerated there, but we're going to go with it because I think they said in December 2025 they had 190 million visitors on their online website. So they're huge. And this is what everyone who's in the center of Washington, D.C., the policymakers in the center of the world, it's what they're reading. So this is the paper to get in if you want to influence the people in the world. So we were featured in a big article, a breakout article, which is going to send shockwaves throughout the world because it says actually that the skin, if you have unhealthy skin, this could lead to things like heart problems, brain problems, lung problems. So this was revolutionary and it caused a massive stink in DC, which is why we were invited to talk in front of all of these Congress people, policymakers about this exact research, and which is why we're making waves in America right now. That's the number one thing.
That's number one on the list. That's good.
Yeah.
So
that was number one.
Well, again, it wasn't just our research. It was your most recent research, which culminated or brought together all of the research that we've done in the last 10 to 15 years on not just the skin microbiome, but how it relates to the whole body. So it's amazing. So Kit, I mean, we haven't got long, but just go through really quickly why this is so revolutionary.
Well, first of all, yeah, you're right, Sam. It was done in conjunction with 2 world-renowned Romanian medical centers. And it was peer-reviewed, published in a top journal, has been cited, I think, 14 or 15 times already, viewed 10,000 times. But the research, what was the question, sorry?
Well, I mean, why is this research so revolutionary now?
Oh, why is it revolutionary? Sorry. Yeah, well, it's revolutionary because before this research, people didn't understand how important the skin was for your whole body. So, for example, they didn't understand that if you have skin problems or skin issues, this could lead to things like heart problems, brain problems, lung problems. So we're the first people in the world to bring all the research together and show that your skin is so much more important than we think for our health. And this actually could be one of the major factors in this massive rise in chronic diseases worldwide.
So to put it in perspective, most people, well, they have no idea that there was this chronic disease epidemic, let alone the causes. And then for you to now be linking damaged skin with these things that people wouldn't associate with anything to do with the skin is, well, that's revolutionary. So yeah, you're right to put that number one on the list.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just put that as number one because that's our number one in numbers. But anyway, again, I would say that this caused a massive stink in the whole of Washington, D.C. and also the whole world. And actually, it's a paper way, way, way ahead of its time, which is why it was so revered in the Washington Post.
Yeah, and I think one more thing, the good thing about doing this now is that in the years to come, when, as we know, the skin will be seen as the major factor in health and chronic disease, this will be looked at back on as the seminal moment.
Yeah, exactly. This will be the turning point from when people actually started saying the skin could be even more important than the gut for our whole body health. This is the turning point, as we've just seen. So that was why that was number one in my list. This is going to transform the world in how we think about our health as well. Because before, people just thought of our health as the skin was a sheet which stretched over the bones and muscles, doesn't really do much, but displays an underlying problem in the body. The next one is, up to now, with the world's first Skin Microbiome Fitness Packages, which we created for the first time ever. No one's ever done this before at the Skin Microbiome School. We've now, up to this point, transformed 2,000 or more lives with our packages, which is a huge, huge number.
Yeah. So again, like we talk about on every one of our podcasts, the problems and the questions and all of the things that we see on our Skin Microbiome Fitness Packages. And that's where, well, our research has been put into, but then it feeds back into our research. So we saw the massive rise in chronic disease and skin problems. And then on our Skin Microbiome Fitness Packages, we see all of these people who have basically very similar stories in terms of how they've been treated and gone through the process. And so the reason that we did this actually was to start with because our mum had exactly the same story, and we realized that there are millions out there. So we got 1.8, I'd say billion. We got 1.8 billion people with that's just skin disease, I think it is, across the world. So we got a long way to go.
Yeah, 1.9 billion.
1.9, it's moved up, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's probably even higher now, to be honest. But globally, we have got this huge epidemic. 2 billion people with skin problems. That's crazy. And most people in rural places don't even really get skin problems. That's crazy. Anyway, so Sam, next one, because we're going to rattle through this because we only got 10 minutes on the podcast. Next one is, by now, up to this point, to be clear, we have had over 150,000 views on all of the Skin Microbiome School's research. So all of our world-leading, peer-reviewed, published research has now been viewed probably closer to 200,000 times, which is monumental.
Yeah, that's all. So that's all the views. It's cool. You can see the views. It's a bit like YouTube, but for academic.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah, you're right. Actually, I think obviously in academia sometimes things like citations are cool as well. So you can look at these different things. But also the biggest one for us, which I'll come on to that next. The next number, but 150,000 views just shows that we're getting out to the masses. What we want to do is we want to push that up through our research, through our books, through our TV appearances, push that up to millions and millions and millions of people seeing us. So Sam, you ready? Next one. Up to now, we've had 207 citations on our research.
Brilliant. And how many have you had this year in the first, 4 days of the year?
In the first 4 days of this year, we've had 4 citations, which is 1 a day.
Okay, that's more than last year, but it's early. I know it's early doors, but we'll see how it goes and see how it pans out.
Exactly. And as we know with science, when people come along and they have revolutionary new ideas which are going to change the world, often it's met with skepticism and met with, sometimes just dismissal from the scientific community. So what we're doing... Yeah, derision. Like when Einstein and people, they presented their theories, they were laughed out of the room, but they become the best scientists ever recorded in human history.
Yeah, so I mean, it's brilliant. There's always the 3 or 4 stages, isn't there? There's ignoring, then derision, or ignoring. What is it? Annoyance.
So first,
you seem to know what it is. You go and say.
Sorry to cut you up, Sam. I was saying I think it's the Nelson Mandela quote. They're like, first they ignored us, next they laughed at us, then they tried to fight us, and then we won.
Yeah. Okay. So there was a laughing in there too. Yeah, exactly. So ignoring, then laughing once they think it's getting a bit more serious, then anger when it's gaining traction, and then once they realise it's massive, then they just come on board.
Yeah, exactly, Sam. Yeah, that's funny. That's the 5th stage, isn't it? So you have the 4 first stages, and then we win, and then 5, finally, years later, like a rat fleeing a sinking ship, they come on board and they want to be with you.
Yeah, it's funny. I know we haven't got time, but it's just because when we used to talk at conferences about skin health and biodiversity, everyone used to go, just because everyone's obsessed. Well, they don't know any of the science, but then they're obsessed with like single microbes, or they just don't know anything, and they go, no, it's not this, it's not biodiversity, that's not what signals health of an ecosystem.
Yeah.
And then the exact same people who said that after we presented, all of us, from me being a nuclear astrophysicist, talking about entropy and biodiversity, and then now those exact same people are publishing articles talking in exactly the same wording that we were doing many years ago, 10 years ago.
Exactly, yeah. It's hilarious, isn't it? The ones who are the biggest critics now are the biggest proponents of everything that we suggested.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant, but they know it.
Yeah, exactly. They know it. It's brilliant, hilarious. Right, that brings me on to, I think, the final one. So we've had, 206 citations. I'm going to add, actually, from those citations, a huge amount of them are from some of the world-leading experts in the field. So, for example, one of the world-leading experts in allergy, this guy called Hatella, he wrote I think it was the biodiversity hypothesis. He's been citing our work recently. We've got world-leading experts from University of Manchester, all over, University of Cambridge, all over citing our work, which is why our published research was featured in the Washington Post this year as well. Which brings me on to our final one. Are you ready? So our final bit of year in numbers is, so far up to this point, we've been featured in over 80 media outlets worldwide. So obviously that includes Washington Post, The Guardian, Bustle, The Ask Dr. Nandi Show, which was a TV show in America, ABC News, The Times of India, and obviously over 80 more than that.
I think the one thing to say about this year, and that's amazing about the media, is that this year, what do you think this next year coming up is about?
For us.
Yeah, I would like to end this on what's the resolution, the New Year's resolution for the Skin Microbiome School and us, or for you, what is it?
For me personally, it's to tell the truth religiously and focus on that and nothing else.
Okay.
Yeah, and obviously that's exactly the same for our business. And then in terms of actual outcomes, I would say this year, my aim is to get on the Joe Rogan show, and for him to be begging us to come on.
Nice, I like that way round. Because again, that kind of brings me on to mine, which is, again, it's always got to be on the right footing. So my one is...
Saying, oh, Joe Rogan, we want to get on the show. No, he'll be begging us to come on.
Yeah, but in the best ways. We are very confident about who we are and what we do, and that's how we want our relationships to be done. So I think me as a standards manager, is my goal this year, I mean it always is, but this year especially, is to only work, do dealings, have partnerships, have relationships with people who share our standards and who are really thankful to be working with us, and therefore it's a good mutual relationship. If they don't share our standards, then there's no hard feelings, but we won't be working with them.
Exactly. I like how you said that. That's a great place to end there, Sam.